In those days, in Victoria, we had 211 municipalities with roughly 2,500 councillors, 68 of whom were women, out of 2,500. Think of it. The annual elections I actually won on a record majority for an independent. So there we go. So then comes the first meeting. You have no idea what it was like. They were nearly coming to blows where I was going to sit. I mean, I'm standing there with my agenda and my pen and my stomach in turmoil, and they're all arguing. And I just said, well, if I had been a man, where would I sit? And they said, well, with your Southwood colleagues. And I said, well, that's where I'll sit. So I just walked over there. But the two other independents had said, well, we don't want her contaminated by you lot, and all this sort of crazy stuff, you know. And it was all written up the following week in the local paper. It was quite hysterical. And that wasn't the first of the cartoons, but this is when I think the cartoonist, who was absolutely wonderful, Rowley, I think, I was going to say fell in love with me. I don't mean with me as a person, because we'd never met, but he just in the concept, and I was very often in the cartoons. And, you know, there was an argument about which toilet I was going to use, because it was never envisaged that a woman would be on council. And I said, well, use the one the secretaries are using, you know, the council staff are using. I mean, obviously. So when I was interviewed, one of the journos said, well, Councillor Kerry, you know, how are you going to cope with, you know, some of the bad language? And I said, I can swear as well as they can, and I can do it in 3 languages, well, 4 really. So invariably, I mean, I don't think there was a week went by when something I did or didn't do wasn't written up in the paper. But the emphasis was always on how I looked rather than what I did. Most of the time we could argue, but then the meeting would finish and then we'd have a cup of tea or a drink. I mean, the boys usually had a beer. And the wives treated me with an incredible amount of suspicion. I mean, as if I would walk the streets and letterbox and pay big money for having things printed. I didn't have a party behind me that would, you know, do the printing and pay for it, to seduce their husbands. I mean, I was young and gorgeous, yeah, but come on. And then, you know, then it was International Women's Year, and I pulled some strings, and we were going to have an exhibition downstairs in the foyer of photographs of women in all kinds of roles, in all kinds of positions, in all kinds of trades, if you like. And there was a series of, I think, 3 or 4 photographs of a woman actually giving birth. And you'd think it was like something horrendous. When I decided to stand again, I was told that I would not be opposed. And then 10 minutes before the nominations closed, the Labor Party put up a Greek guy to oppose me. And I think they deliberately chose someone Greek because a lot of Greeks were living in the area there. And I did him like a dinner. It was very funny too. I think it sort of brings to mind, there was a lovely lady whom I'd helped with some council issue during my term. And she came to vote and she said, hope you get in again, dear. She said, we've got to keep these migrants out. I didn't know what to say.